Talking about the Harris Beach or qualified attorneys. I avoided a coffee mug that said Hodgson Russ on it. So we were joking that we need to get some new coffee mugs down here. So sorry about that. But we'll call the meeting. I got off the Christmas list. Sorry.
That was easy.
We're called to order. The first item here on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our prior meeting. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, could we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, carried.
Who seconded that? I missed that.
Kim
Thank
and
you.
Bill.
Okay,
Kim.
thank you, sorry.
I don't believe we have a finance report
No.
for this, so, and we're gonna table the
We
audit.
we do have a change in the agenda.
That we're not gonna do the
That
audit.
we're gonna table the audit proposal, so that the audit committee needs to meet first to review the proposals before we bring it to the full board, and we leapfrogged that, so, we will get that scheduled and be ready for next month.
Actually, do we need to appoint the audit committee officially, or it's just a separate?
Did we already do that?
Well, we have a finance/audit committee that can be the same committee, they just have to be separate. Did you guys learn that yesterday? Okay,
Should be it'll be the same membership, I think.
Yep. Okay.
All right, so that will be tabled to the next meeting, and with that concludes the business for this meeting. With that change, we won't have anything else, so a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion.
All right,
Second.
Bill? Second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So then we will call to order the Finger Lakes Horizon Economic Development Corporation, and this is gonna be pretty similar, except we do have a finance report for this. So we'll start with the minutes. Do we have any comments or questions on the minutes from our October 20 meeting? Okay, hearing none, could we have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
All right.
Second again.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, carried. So the change to the agenda for this entity as well is to table the audit proposals to the next meeting. So we'll scratch that, and then we'll move on to the finance report. Doreen, what do
I
you have?
have one check for number 327 for $50,000 for the loan to Finger Lakes Transport LLC.
Okay.
And that's all I have to report for that today.
Okay. Any questions on that? We have a motion to approve the finance report and paying that check?
Motion to
Make a
approve.
motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. How about a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
All right, Bill?
Second.
Second, and then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carried. Okay, we're on a record pace here, so.
Yeah, it's not gonna
so,
hold up.
Yeah.
Did you notice the estimated time for the?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
We actually went 2 minutes over.
So I'm actually behind,
Well, we
thanks
got
guys.
started late.
I know.
All right, so with that, we'll call the meeting to order for the Finger Lakes EDC. And do we have an executive session for this entity?
We do, to discuss company financials for a loan request.
Okay, so how about a motion to enter?
Make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, we will now enter executive session.
Okay.
enough tries with it.
You seen us out at Torrey for the public hearing.
Due to technical issues.
Yeah.
You could
Do
see
it
us,
next weekend.
you could see the lips moving.
We are good.
But you were pretty much all alone?
Yeah, just had one rep for company.
All right, we will return here to open session. Could we have a motion to exit executive and return to the open session? Second, Bill, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the review and approval of our minutes from the October 20th meeting. Are there any comments or questions on those minutes? Okay, hearing none. Motion to approve?
Yep.
Bill?
Second.
All right, second. And all in favor? Aye. Okay. On to item 4 here, changes in the agenda, and we do have some. One that I know of anyway, we can scratch number 1, the audit proposals. That will be tabled until our next meeting, and we'll take advice there from the audit committee before deciding on that. Are there any other changes?
We have to table the snow plowing proposals as well.
Okay. Anything else?
We're tabling those because we didn't
Didn't get any bids.
receive any. We didn't receive any bids.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad.
So if you get bored, come over with your shovel. It snows.
Okay,
You have to-
No.
you had a-
Hopefully it won't
missed it.
snow.
You have to amend something
Hmm?
with the minutes.
Hopefully it
for
just won't snow.
Oak Hill,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, don't sound good for next week already.
Hey, Steve. We needed to, amend the minutes from a resolution for last month, right?
Correct, just to note, just the minor correction in the, Oak Hill final resolution.
The changes that you guys were,
Oh.
the updates that. on that.
Okay, yeah, so, sorry, good, thanks for reminding us. Yeah, if we go back to the minutes, in the Oak Hill, there was a clause in the minutes, well, not the minutes, in the documents that stated, the facility wouldn't be operated as a retail establishment, which is generally true for our projects. In this case, obviously, it is retail. We are still allowed to utilize our incentives for a couple of different reasons. One, tourism destination with the amount of, buses and such they get in there. But in this case also, it's the closest operating grocery store to the village of Dundee, who is without a grocery store. So, it's providing a service that's not otherwise available to the residents, so. Steve got us updated documents that state that, so, before we get to the closing.
Yeah, this is Russ, it's simply we have to make a retail, designation and the reason why we're doing it, and, so that's just simply just the correction in the approvals.
So just a procedural question, are we making a new approval with that change, or are we amending the minutes because it's more of a typo item that was caught after the fact?
No, it's not a typo item, it was just something that frankly, we didn't include within the resolution, so we just want it reflected in the minutes that the resolution has been amended, and we'll get to the staff and board a revised resolution which correctly reflects the approvals.
Okay, so that, if I'm hearing you correctly, that would just be under a new action item to approve that amended resolution?
Approve the minutes with the amendment?
No, I don't
So
think
the question is, so you, okay.
We're not changing the minutes, cause what happened, but we're adding a new action item to amend the resolution, as you
That's
stated.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
And Steve, and Mike, we'll get you, if we haven't already done so, the piece of paper so you have it in your records to accurately reflect what the board approved.
Okay, we'll, when we get to the action items, we'll move that to item number 1, and we'll just tackle that first, so it doesn't get, so it's still kinda top of mind
Okay.
when we get there. That's that's okay.
Yep.
On the table, those assignments.
Alrighty. Any other changes in the agenda?
Nope.
Alright. So then we'll move on to number 5 here, the finance report. Maureen, what do you have for us?
I have check number 5727, or no, I'm sorry, 5716 to 5741, and E68 to E70 totaling $90,182.54, which reflects our annual New York State retirement check number 5727 of $50,898, which we save roughly $1,200-1,500 paying by 12/15 instead of February of the following year.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't think we have. Hopefully some of our projects will close here before the end of the year. I think we're still over budget on the positive side so far. If I change in another month, we'll be pretty close. We'll still be okay.
Yeah, so the net income is tracking well ahead of the budget item,
Yep.
but
Mhm.
project revenue is a little bit down due to timing here, but should catch up next month, and expenses are down quite a bit. You guys have done a nice job holding some different expense line items down, so the net income is tracking ahead of budget, which is nice.
Nice, yeah.
Other than that, I don't have anything unless anybody's got any questions.
I don't, does anybody on the online have any questions?
I'm here. No.
All right. How about a motion then to approve the finance report and paying those specific checks?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second.
Bill, all in favor? Aye? Okay, any opposed? All right.
Sounds like we got a new
Carried.
board member.
All right, how about the management reports? Do you guys have anything you want to highlight for us?
I have nothing new to report.
Okay. Mike?
I sent out the DRI update, a part of the management report, so I guess if there's any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer anything on there. Hopefully you'll start seeing some of those projects really start to take off here soon.
Mm-hmm.
Been a long time coming, so.
Yeah.
Can you expand a little on how did the fall festival thing go there a
Yep.
couple weeks ago?
Gonna get right into that if there were no questions on the DRI, but both the fall festival and then 2 weeks prior to that was the trunk or treat event that both were put on by the Downtown Business Council, and both events were a resounding success. The trunk or treat had probably 450 to 500 attendees, obviously mostly children. There were a few adults down there dressed up that didn't have kids with them, so it kind of had some more people down there than we thought there would have. Just kind of saw it and were hanging out. There were 42 trunks that partook. It wasn't a huge revenue generator for the Downtown Business Council. Just kind of an event to get people downtown, and hopefully that they then went into the businesses and or bring them back to businesses down later on. The feedback on it was tremendous. There's little organizational things we could improve for next year, but it's definitely going to be an annual event going forward. And same with the fall festival. There was probably 1,500 to maybe 2,000 people down there that rotated in and out throughout the day. It was 1 to 6. Vendors had a tremendous success. There were vendors pop-ups on Main Street that some of them said they've had record sales compared to any other event they've ever had. So it was great to see that. They already are saying book us for next year. And then our local businesses did tremendously as well. There was enough space in between the tents that attendees for the festival could get in and out from the street, which was blocked off, and then into the stores, which we'll do the exact same thing next year. definitely room for more vendors, as there was a little bit of dead space in the street. Just didn't know how many were gonna be available, but starting it, planning earlier, we can fill up that dead space and probably add 2 or 3 times the amount of vendors. I think there were about 22 this year, so, plenty of room to expand. Cuca Candy Emporium said it was their single best day of sales in the 8 years that they've been open in Penn.
Really? Great.
It was just a line out the door for 5 hours. He said he was, 2 weeks later, he was like, I'm still exhausted. You know, but obviously happy, thrilled about it, so. Went off without a hitch. We would not have been able to pull it off with a couple, youthful volunteers. Students from the, high school came over and helped set up and tear down. So that without them, it wouldn't happen. Or it would have been a lot messier. It's on, recording through YouTube.
Okay, good.
The festival ended at 6 o'clock. The street was back open by 6:30.
Oh.
They were able to pull everything off to the sides, onto the sidewalks, then tear it down, but it was, the village and police were thrilled with that, so it will help future events to close the street going forward, so.
Great.
Focus next on, Starshine in December, just a couple more weeks, so. Focus of the downtown council wants to be basically doing almost an event a month to, of that kind of scale to bring people downtown and help our local businesses.
That's great.
That's that actively engaged we've been hoping for a while, getting
Yeah.
additional and more people, more businesses involved in trying to create their own momentum, and it's a perfect example of it succeeding, so it's great, wonderful to see.
That's all I had. If there's any other questions?
Steve, what do you have for us?
The only updates I'll give is continuing to try to, on that actively engaged, trying to work more through the, Cuca College Community Associates Board, trying to get projects moving with the college and the community there. One of the things that came up last meeting, I'm gonna have a discussion either today or tomorrow with a Cuca student about possibly doing one of their field studies as coming into both downtown Penn Yan and the surrounding areas around the college, and doing a series of short videos of what the community has to offer, which will hopefully, when done correctly, or done well, I should say, not correctly, can be both a nice little marketing piece for the businesses and for Penn Yan itself, and probably Branchport, wherever the students may go, as well as for the college. Right? It can show something that they can use to show prospective students, here's what is available, and here's what's in and around Cuca College. So, and it could blend well because it's for some of the, working with a girl who's a basketball player for Cuca who has to stay over the winter break because they have basketball. So nice way to kind of plug it in there. So continue to try to figure out ways to bridge that gap between the, or maybe it's just a perceived gap, but between the college and the towns around it. And then the only other thing I'll bring up is we had yesterday, I guess it's the fall conference virtually for the New York State EDC, and a couple things there's a number of items discussed, but of note, I think, and we'll be leaning on Russ and Steve to help us through this, is starting in January, I believe, kicks in a new prevailing wage mandate for IDA or state-sponsored projects, which the clear explanation in this conference was that the law itself is so poorly written that it's basically not able to be understood or implemented correctly. There is no way to figure out what they're talking about, what is included in this, what isn't included in it, and that was they had attorneys from Hodge and Russ, Harris Beach, don't know the name of the other law firm that was represented, and they're all just like, we've been meeting on this and we have no idea how to even interpret the wording, let alone the intention behind the wording. So not too dissimilar from every other state approved law or mandate. Spit it out and figure out what it means later. Like
Right.
there's never any detail behind this stuff. It's baffling, but
Frustrating.
yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Steve, at first, just to take a step back, we already looked at the bylaws, you're authorized to sign.
Good. All right.
So we're good there. With respect to the prevailing wage legislation that is looming effective January 1, what we're recommending to all of our IDA clients is, to the extent you have a project that is active, our suggestion is get as much done in calendar year 2021 as possible. It's not a perfect response, but it puts a project in a much more defensible position that they're not subject to the new law. And really the onus is on the developers to comply with it.
Russ, do you want to maybe give a quick highlight of what the mandate states?
Yeah, so essentially for certain projects where 30% or more of the benefits or assistance is in excess of 30%, they have to pay prevailing wages. But there was supposed to be a sitting board that has not been formed yet, to my knowledge anyway. And there's a lot of nuances that the lawyers are looking at to figure out, okay, does it apply to this? Does it apply to that? So what we've concluded, and we've spent a lot of time, as Steve noted, other law firms have as well, looking at this, and what we have concluded is, to the extent a project can get not even the IDA stuff done, but the local approvals done, planning board, the CFO, and then as much as you can possibly get done with the IDA in calendar year 2021 again, it's going to put them in a much better position. And of course, we're not going to kick the can down the road and punt this off to the developers and these projects and their counsel. So that's what we're advising. But really the onus is on them to say, okay, we're going to do this project. Let's get as much done this year as we can.
And this getting this done, is that the actual the construction aspects of it, or is it just getting through the approvals and final resolutions?
The approvals and the final resolutions, and then the actual execution of the project agreement.
Okay. Yep. All right.
Where they're appointed as agent of the IDA.
Yep. Okay.
So I would imagine that not only in Yates County, but across the state, it's going to be a very interesting and busy December.
That's it. Right, but I think this one might be exempt.
Yeah.
Thanks, Russ.
Thank you, Russ. And that's, unless there's more questions, that's, I don't think I really have anything else to add.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for any of the team?
Oh, that was really clear.
Yeah, no, that's well, that's more clear than it's actually than I've heard it. Yeah, Amy.
And Amy, I apologize, but Steve's right. The legislation, and I know we're in public session, is very typical of New York State, very vague. Let people open to interpretation, and that's what we're doing. So I don't mean to be vague.
No, Ruffin, I can
No, I trust me. I get it.
The interesting part on it is not only is it vague, but it states that the onus is on the developer to make sure they follow this prevailing wage mandate under like perjury, like enforce.
Right.
So, and you don't know how, you can't even enforce it. Like you don't know how to interpret it, and yet you could be.
Yeah,
It's
liable for.
again,
Yeah.
I'm glad it's recorded. New York continues to just figure out
Audit next week.
more and more confusing ways to stymie business growth and attraction, and man, we're good at it. The state's phenomenal at trying to just make it as confusing as it can, and you know, I don't know if it's anti-IDA efforts, which it seems to be, but luckily they do their job so poorly in these laws that I think it actually it puts even more importance on local IDAs to help the developers figure out all these different hurdles that are being set up for them. So, you know, in a way, New York and Albany is screwed up enough that they're actually helping us, they're at least showing our value. So I guess I can thank them for that, and that's usually about where I am thanking them, but which is also why we keep getting audited, so sorry, Dory.
I'm on vacation next week, good luck.
So on that note, we'll move on to the action items.
I'm fed up with them, can't tell, that's,
Yeah.
So our first item of business here then is the Oak Hill amended resolution as Russ was outlining prior. Do we need to have it restated, or are we comfortable kind of voting on that change as Russ outlined?
So again, this is Oak Hill Bulk Foods, we've already gotten through all of the approvals. Remember, we took lead agency status on the seeker because of where the warehouse expansion is going. All we're doing is now making an amended approval, and tell me where I steer a little bit off the road here, Russ. An
No,
amended.
you're exactly right. We're essentially just amending the prior approval to fall into compliance with the retail limitations, which we certainly do in this aspect. And like I said, we will get to Steve and Mike the actual resolution that correctly reflects what the board approved.
Okay. Thank you, Russ. Any questions from anybody then? This will be a roll call vote, so does Doreen, you want to take us through that?
Did somebody
Oh,
make the motion?
yeah, I'm sorry.
I'll make the motion.
Motion from Bill, a second, please? From somebody?
Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
We're gonna power through, Kim.
Mary Ann? Yes. Bill?
Yes.
Ryan?
Abstain.
Amy?
Sorry, Dory.
That's okay. Kim?
Yes.
Serene?
Yes.
Okay. And Janice is absent.
Okay, good, thank you. So our next item, I don't know, you guys, do you think we can do all three together, or should we do one at a time?
I think you gotta do, well, I don't know, can ask.
Ross, our next three items are the NSF Tories 1, 2, and 3. Can we discuss them and make all three resolutions one way or another at the same time?
Yeah, my suggestion would be to have a motion to the extent the board is desiring to do so for all three, any discussion, and then it could be one approval and roll call vote.
Yeah, okay. I can't imagine it's kind of all or nothing.
Yeah.
So, do you guys want to have some discussion about it? Let us know what we're doing.
Yeah, so this is the 3 5-megawatt solar farms that are being developed in the town of Torrey on Hanson Point Road. Just to rehash the incentives and total capital investment of the project. Each individual site will be a $6,700,000 total project. They've requested a straight leaseback for property and sales tax abatements. They're not utilizing the mortgage tax abatement. They will, last month we approved a $4,000 per megawatt payment with a 2% escalator per year that we would present at the public hearing. The public hearings for all three sites were held on Monday, November 8th at 6 p.m. We did not have any attendees or any feedback at the public hearings. No written comments were received either. The total projected incentives for the project are $342,252.91. Most of that is made up of the sales tax abatement, which is all of that is made up of the sales tax abatement, which is $349,472. The actual property tax abatement is coming in at a negative $7,219. The purpose of going forward with that is there's a ton of discussion and ongoing work from the Department of Taxation for New York State and working with the assessors. They put a calculator out there that we've used to calculate the new assessed value of the total or each individual site. Again, there's still discussion going on that. So the purpose of the company coming to us for the pilot is really to create some consistency and predict what the kind of tax liability over the 30-year pilot will be. Because again, that's going to be changing each year, so they know when the finances are kind of locked in by utilizing our pilot.
Yeah, just real quick, I need to hit on that a little bit more. If you remember, we looked at the initial forecast model that the Department of Tax and Finance put out, and it showed that our proposed pilot original, the 42 or 4,500, I can't remember what it is now,
250.
fell in that green zone where it still should work for them. They came out with yet another revised one that dramatically reduced that number to the point where even at the 4,000 number, it showed that it was going to cost the solar development company more money that way than just letting it go without. And based on the tax and finance model, that discounted value of it would actually lower their total payments. The presumption is, already hearing from a lot of assessors throughout the state, that tax and finance or NYSERDA, whoever else was involved in this, did not get much or any input from assessors. It was driven heavily by the solar development companies. And so now it's sort of, they believe there'll be probably at least one more edification of this model that'll probably swing it back a little bit. And so if nothing else, again, you see why the pilots, again, might be this consistency and this more the predictability of what the expenses will be are more important now probably than ever to the solar companies. And it also probably shows that 4,000 number that we've gone back and forth with in a long time is currently pretty close to what, is pretty close to the right number, at least from the current models. And they're on the public hearing, I'm probably jumping forward now on you. There was nobody, we did a live stream. There was nobody on it other than, I think, one of the council maybe from the.
Yeah, it was another member of the Norwood Solar Company.
And in person, and we held it in the evening, at the town hall in Torrey. The only ones that were there were myself, Mike, and Kevin Hurlbut from Norbit, so.
CFO there.
Yeah, so there wasn't any opposition, to it that we heard from.
Have we had any negative feedback from the town itself?
No.
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 They had all their approvals are in place. Part of the resolution is that town of Torrey did adopt, or they were lead agency on it, and issued a negative declaration. So we just, a part of the resolution, we would need to accept that finding. But their town's ready to go, company's ready to go, they're just waiting for a determination from our side. And I've had conversations with the town assessor, a couple town board members, and they were all for it. No negative feedback. So, and on the appraisal conversation and the calculator that the state came out, we was on a training yesterday, online training, and they had one of the sections was on this calculator and the appraisal model for renewables, and one of the lead attorneys for Barclay Damon was on there, and he basically confirmed everything that we've been doing, that this IDAs are gonna still be needed to issue pilots on these because of the uncertainty in the across the board. He thinks for the next several years that they're still gonna be needed to do exactly what we're doing now, so just a little bit of kind of additional insight from other members. Barclay Damon's just, they're inundated right now with renewable projects. They have been counsel for IDAs, both IDAs and project developers, but right now they're just kind of, they're so backlogged with renewable projects, that's kind of all they're doing right now.
And to confirm, the incentive sheet is multiplied by 3 for the overall project, because it's one of 3. right?
Correct. Yep, yep, so this is for a single site, they're all identical. I did receive an email from the company late last night that one of the sites, might have to be reduced on the per megawatt size. So instead of 5 megawatts, it might be closer to 4. So that would just reduce some of the capital investment. But we'll keep reporting it on at 6.7 so that we know that we're covered for project incentive.
Would reduce their benefit too, if
Right,
it's
exactly.
per megawatt.
Yep.
basis. Okay, I know we've talked about this one a lot. Does anybody online or in the room have any questions or comments?
No. All set here.
Okay, so what I'll ask for then is a motion to approve for all 3 resolutions, NSF, Tory Site 1, 2, and 3 together in one resolution for approval, if someone would make that motion.
So moved, Kim.
Okay.
Amy.
And a second, Amy. And this is a roll call from Doreen.
Okay, Mary Ann?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Amy?
Yeah.
Kim?
Yes.
Serene?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. You're still up.
Nope, this one's
Steve?
This one's Steve.
All right. So Cuca Property Ventures LLC initial resolution.
So this is, we're slightly ahead of schedule here, because there is not yet a formally signed document, but there's, timing wise, they want us to kind of proceed and push forward. They're confident they get to the final deal. This is for, the acquisition and renovation of what's currently Top of the Lake Restaurant. It's a $2.7 million project, which will include not just the acquisition, but the renovation, kind of describe it here a little bit. Renovation of the restaurant building to include reconditioning and or replacement of all the kitchen equipment, addition of an exterior walk-up food and ice cream facility, addition of interior private dining rooms, replacement of all exterior windows and doors, redecorating of all the ceiling, floors, walls, and addition of a public stairway to the basement, where they will create a basement bar and lounge and bathrooms, in addition of an exterior seasonal patio bar, new deck construction around the surrounding exterior and over exterior building, new siding on the building, geothermal heating and cooling installations, construction of permanent docking facility. And it's the permanent docking facility that is where we're focusing now. What's gonna have to happen for that to get through, because it's not gonna be easy. To get approvals necessary to do that. The reason being is it's pretty shallow there, and so we believe dredging is gonna have to occur, and for dredging to occur, what sort of approvals and who do we gotta get involved for that? In addition to that, so the total project is $2.7 million. I'm sorry. This is for board members anyways, I'll give you guys a copy. And I can email this out to Serene, Kim, and Amy.
They don't have a copy
No,
No.
probably not.
So $2.7 million total capital investment. They're looking for property sales and mortgage tax exemptions on this. And this is another one where it's retail in nature, It's a restaurant, but again, they're hoping to draw people off the lake, obviously, so there's some destination tourism elements for sure to be involved with it, including, you know, hosting some events there. It also does fall within our downtown revitalization initiative area. So even though it's not a DRI project itself, it falls within that area, and that sort of a DRI defined area, according to the state, I think makes it, you know, an economically distressed area or targeted area, and therefore open to some of our incentives. So we will have to make, when we get to that point, you know, that same sort of resolution. All we're looking for here is the need to hold a public hearing, because projected benefits, according to the property sales and mortgage tax exemptions, come to $368,206. When you add in the capital investment of $2.7 million, they're looking to create roughly, this number's probably conservative, but I told them to be conservative, 11 year-round full-time equivalent positions. Between their salaries, the cumulative pilot payments over the 10 years, you're looking at $6.58 million in total economic benefit, or an 18-to-1 community benefit to, community benefit to community investment ratio. But that 368 means we gotta have a public hearing. So all we're looking for here is that initial resolution, which allows to go schedule that public hearing. I'm happy to answer questions if there are any. It's a long time coming for this project. We're not there yet, but this is one that people have, I think between this and the Penny and Boats property,
Yeah, right.
people have been
Yeah.
waiting for a while for this section of the lake to get developed like this.
Great, good summary.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, so hearing none, we'll ask here for entertain a motion for that approval of the initial resolution. Anybody would do that? All
So moved, Kim.
right, Kim, and second Serene. Doreen?
Okay. Marion?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ryan?
Abstain?
Okay. Amy?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay. Serene?
Yes.
Thanks, everyone. So then the next item here is the same thing, different project, but an initial resolution for Paco Palace LLC.
Correct. So Taco Palace, it's a couple that just moved back to the area. She's from Penn originally. They just moved back to California. They are proposing to build a multi-purpose education, tech incubation, and event destination in the Finger Lakes. It's located at 211 Hall Road in Himrod, which is on Seneca Lake, or there's a portion of it on Seneca Lake. Old house, a couple barns in there that will be restored into wedding, event, conference center to attract people there. Also a wine tasting room. She's working with a local winery to open a satellite location on the property. Educational events and outdoor experiences designed to educate the public on ways our food choices impact climate change. And also provide a space for tech startups who are incubating new technologies to lessen the impact of climate change as well. Hoping it to be a hub to drive tourism to the area, as well as startups looking to build technologies to impact climate change. And in the long term, believe this could be a catalyst for tech companies working in the region, as well as investment dollars for venture capitalists. They've done this already in California. They wanted out of California because of the ongoing fires out there and drought. They see this region as a coming and more climate safe, and have the wild swings and climate issues out there, so they're looking to do it here. Also Cornell being nearby, and talent coming out of there for the tech incubation it was a big attraction for them. So they are seeking a straight lease back for property sales and mortgage tax abatements. The total capital investment is projected to be at $2,850,000. They're proposing to create 20 direct jobs between the farm and education side of it and incubation, as well as 15 for the event center and winery. Breaking those kind of individual sectors out, there's another 17 potential indirect or induced jobs that will be created a part of this project. So the total number of jobs to be created for the region is around 33 full-time equivalents. So you factor in the projected pilot payments, the capital investment, and the projected wages. The economic benefit is proposed to be $17,184,836 over the 10-year pilot. Total projected incentives are $242,013. Most of that, property tax abatement being $102,013, sales and use tax $120,000, and mortgage tax abatement projected to be at $20,000. So if you compare the total company investment to the community benefit, you're looking at a 71-to-1 ratio. They again, kind of like the past project, are working towards closing. It's a pretty cool project, something that's not here already. It could be a major attraction for the area.
And we're looking at it through year 10 here. Is it just a 10-year pilot, or is the pilot longer than 10?
Nope, just a 10, standard.
Good. Great.
This was pretty neat. This is a.
Yeah, so who are these people?
So Anna Sweet was a Penn Yan Academy graduate. She moved out to California. She is currently the CEO of a large video game production company. Still carrying that work. She's able to work remotely, so and had been. So she moved back to the area.
This is
Looking to
RIT.
do some big things.
Her father was longtime coach and athletic director at Cuca.
Yep, Dave Sweet is her dad, and Dave also has that lavender farm too, so there's some deeper family connections to the community.
That's good. She's
Pushing dad to move the lavender farm over to
Right.
her property as well, so.
So there's, I mean, it continues to be kind of a neat thing that I've stated for a while, and it's not, it wasn't anything original thought or anything, but at some point, certain amount of people who graduate from the area want to try to get back to the area, and that's here, and in this case, you got some environmental factors helping that motivation between West Coast forest fires and drought and that sort of thing, that all of a sudden our part of the country, this looks a lot safer. So
Steve, this is probably the third young couple that I have heard of that is coming back to the area to do something with environmental sustainability or organic farming or whatever that has some connection to the college. So, I agree. I think that this is really positive for the area. It's nice to see some people deciding to come back to their roots.
yeah, I agree. Anna is projecting that this is only going to increase in
Popularity?
yeah, that everyone, not everyone, a lot of people she knows out there have the same mindset that enough's enough with having to be evacuated for forest fires multiple times throughout the year, and then not having any water. So it's This shouldn't slow down. If anything, she thinks it'll increase in how many times it's gonna happen.
I think I'm still a little confused about what they are. Is when you say multi-purpose education, is it just around climate control, different climate control or approaches or studies, or the tech? It says multi-purpose education, tech incubation, and event destination.
So
It does seem like
You
what
can't-
a lot of pieces.
a lot of people would be like, what are you exactly, and how do
Yep. So in that original email I sent last night, there is a link to the farm they had out in California.
Okay.
So that will
Still
probably
have.
give you,
They
we
still
still
have.
have.
I'll do that. Yeah.
A better understanding than I will be able to
Mhm.
describe. But the property will have both for-profit and non-profit on site.
Activities. Okay.
The for-profit basically driving people to the property so that they can then educate and show them what they're doing. A lot of their focus is on what your food choices are doing to the climate and utilizing plant-based substitutes for meat,
Mhm.
and how that will impact the climate future. But they have so then the 50 acres of kind of farmland, they're going to have 10 being dedicated to organic grape production, another 10 to organic flower and vegetable production, adding a greenhouse to support these activities, and then the remaining 30 acres will be transformed into a food forest where people can hike to learn about things like beekeeping, mushroom foraging, and similar topics. These acres will also house pastures for farm animals, and educational tours will be provided on regenerated agriculture. I don't know if that helped.
So
at
that's,
all.
Okay, yeah,
that's
yes, it-
that's one element of what they're doing out there. So that's just that's more the nonprofit ag side, right? Then they're also doing her tech incubation is more on the to some degree ag tech and helping do that, but it doesn't have to be limited to that. They have experience out on the West Coast trying to help other young college graduates take their ideas and bring them to market. So then there's that element,
Mhm.
and then the third element is the winery perspective of.
Okay. So that would be a reason for people to pull in off the street then.
Yep.
Is the wine
Yep,
tasting,
yep,
other
exactly.
than
Well,
otherwise.
and the to pulling off the street, yes, but then also the food, the farm education, the ag
Mhm.
education aspect too.
Okay.
You could do that. That hits more of the sort of more general family friendly activities that we've been looking to do more of.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And you get the feeling kind of not exactly, but like a nature preserve where you can walk around and
Mhm.
go through the trails and see the animals and all the different farms. It's that kind of concept. I'm sure it's not.
Yeah, it
Probably
sounds
yell at
great.
me for making that comparison, but
Okay.
plus all the other things they have going on there. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, one thing I'll add, I don't have a direct conflict with this entity, I have no dealings with this entity, but I do have a banking relationship with an affiliate of theirs. I can vote on this, I don't think there's a direct conflict, but I just wanted to disclose that. With an affiliate entity, I do have some stuff going, banking stuff with. With that, would someone make a motion to approve the initial resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve the initial resolution.
All right, and a second?
Second, sorry.
Thanks, Serene. Doreen?
Marianne,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Serene.
All right. So these, next we probably need separate votes on these, but the discussion can probably happen together, an explanation for what they are.
Well, and I'll do what I can with it. There is I don't think it's closed yet, a new, a buyer for BWF in Glenora. This is, those who don't know the legal entity name, this is basically Starkey's Lookout, the brewery slash, mostly, I think it's the whole entirely brewery now, along with the I guess it's a retail shop down on 14 that houses O'Begley Distillery. The current owners have buyers coming in and they're looking to take over the assignment of the current pilot that's in place and carry it out. To be upfront with the board, I have not yet spoken to the new owners. I don't know what they're doing with it, other than that the LLC name is Beer in Dundee. So I'm assuming they're gonna continue it, but I have not yet spoken to them to verify that's in fact what they're going to do. I don't know if they're gonna make additional investments or not. We're almost at the very end of this pilot life anyways. There's actually only 1 year left, so they're at the 10% savings, the 10% abatement level of the town and county abatement. So they're literally at the very last element of
Yeah.
what the savings is of here. So assigning it, they're not going to save a tremendous amount more through this pilot. I was 95%, 98% of all the savings have already been gleaned by the current owners. So there's not much here, but I haven't spoken to them. So
The request came through the current owner's attorney's office.
but that is all they're looking for here, is to sign it to the new owners to receive that last year of town and county 10% savings, the increased value. So it's a pretty small amount, but I haven't spoken to the new owners, so I don't know.
Well, if there is some precedent, if they weren't operating it and with an eligible use of the building, say they moved into it and had it as a residence, then they'd be ineligible and we would terminate it.
Right.
At that time, we've done that here
Mhm.
earlier this year with projects, so there is some recourse that the IDA has if the new owner changes the scope, we could then rescind.
Correct.
So
Or
that-
terminated at that point.
Sorry, my video just went dark, hold on. You can make the approval of the assignment contingent upon them continuing to operate, which they would have to do anyway. But remember, when you do an assignment assumption, they assume not only the rights of the pilot and the benefits, but the obligations associated. So if they come in and change it to a dollar store or something like that, we would terminate. So, that's a matter of course. But if you want to make it clear on the record that the assignment is approved, subject to them continuing to operate and maintain jobs, I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
recommendation. So, unless there's any other questions, I'll say what he said. Could have a motion
Yeah, so
to,
There'll be a motion, and I'm not making a motion, I'm just saying somebody can ratify what I'm saying, to approve the assignment subject to them complying with the current documents and continuing to operate the project as induced.
okay,
So moved, Amy.
Second.
Second Mary Ann.
Mhm.
All right, this will be a roll call as well.
Yep. Mary Ann?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Amy?
Yeah.
Kim?
Yes.
Serene?
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
All right, and then we should do the same thing for the Glenora Corners Grocery, which is the other
It's the
part of
same,
this. It's
yeah.
the same exact thing, but could we have a motion for that?
Yeah, BWF Holdings is the actual brewery winery up on the hill. Glenora Corners is the smaller standalone building down on 14.
So,
Okay.
so,
Sure.
to make that same motion for that entity, if someone would please.
I'll make it.
Bill,
Second.
second by Mary Ann, and roll call.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Amy?
Yeah.
Kim?
Yes.
Hate to ask her, Serene?
Yes.
All right, so then our last, well, we'll do one at a time. The Pro Style Constructs lease.
Yeah, this is the gentleman who actually, he's just looking to take over from, it's in his current business's name. This gentleman's looking to take over the Indigo Soap Company's, soap production and marketing. It likely will not stay as Indigo, but in his part-time, he actually made the soap for Indigo, so he actually enjoys doing it. So he was in talks with Amanda Marino about simply taking it over, and he is doing so. And so it's basically just, renew's not the right word, but it's taking over the lease for a 1-year period. So it's a 2,400 square foot lease over in the Seneca building, $750 a month for rent, $100 for utility reimbursement. For a period of 1 year. His Pro Style Constructs actually is a full home remodeling company. So there could be some elements within it of, in that building, because he doesn't need it all just for the soap right now. He might do some small sort of finished work, carpentry work in there, so and it discusses as much in the lease, but this is basically trying to just operate the soap company.
Okay. Those are the same rates, it's just transferring over?
Same exact, this
Yeah,
is
okay.
what Indigo was operating under.
Alright. Good, and motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Bill?
Second.
Second, Mary Ann, and this does not need to be a roll call, right? So,
Correct.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, that's carried. And then our last item here on the agenda is the pending loan request to Fleur Enterprises.
Yep, so the loan review committee has recommended a loan to Floor Enterprises LLC, which is owned and operated by Chet Thompson and Rose Curry. The loan would be to assist in the purchase of 18th Amendment. Loan amount would be $80,000, interest rate 1%. Term on the loan would be 7-year term, but the payments would be amortized over 10 years. Reduces the monthly payment and annual debt service to help cash flow. Creates a balloon payment at the end, but again helps them with the startup. Collateral for the loan would be a mortgage in second position on 7 Main Street, the facility that 18th Amendment is run out of. A mortgage in first position on 171 Main Street. UCC filing and personal guarantees from Chet Thompson and Rose Curry. The total project cost is $400,000, and the project proposes to create four full-time equivalent positions over the next 3 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions for Mike? Okay. Entertain a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
All right, Bill? And a second?
Second.
Mary Ann? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, that's carried. So that concludes our business agenda. The next meeting is scheduled for December 15th, the third Wednesday. I actually, and I haven't talked to you guys about this, I have a conflict that morning, so I don't know if there's any interest in moving it, or we would just call on the vice chair to run the meeting. But we can, just wanted to say that out loud, and then maybe we could talk about it later or send an email out. But,
Yep.
yeah, okay.
You could meet just later in the day, or just is that whole day out for it?
Just, I could meet later in that day. I have a 8 a.m. meeting in Geneva that'll be an hour or two that I can't miss.
All right,
We'll figure it out.
yep, we'll send out notes to everyone and see what they can do that day. And in the meantime, before then, everyone will be getting an email from Doreen or I to try to get some of these other, we'll need a personnel committee meeting, we'll need audit and governance, so.
Okay. See y'all soon.
Motion to
Motion to adjourn?
Bye.
We need motion to adjourn,
Yep,
Made the motion.
So moved.
all right.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
So
interesting.
this is Cupid Commons termination, you've already signed them.